Hi, Professor. My name is Shanglong Zhang, and my partner is Tianyu Fan. Today, we want to talk about two case studies. First is lack of communication and medical errors. The second one is healthy provide attitude and price transparency. Let's start from first. Peter Walk is an older man and he has a lot of healthy issues. For example, he suffered health hypertension and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's called COPD. And what is COPD mean? COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD refers to a group of diseases that cause airflow, blockage, and breathing-related problems. It's including emphysema, and chronic bronchitis, and in some cases, asthma. And let me talk about the background. Mr. Walk go to the hospital, check up the rate of his healthy issue. The care team helped him address the issue, but the team forgot. He has a low severe. So they use a standard treatment. And what is standard treatment mean? The standard treatment that is normally provided to people with a given condition. In many studies, a control group received that standard treatment, while a treatment group received the experimental treatment. After the clinical trial, research compared the outcome of the two groups to see if the experimental treatment is better than as good as, or as not as good, not as beneficial as the standard treatment. But the standard treatment that cause an unnecessary harm to Mr. Walker. Another problem is medical errors made the patient's situation worse. So this transparent caused the patient's conventional period to be much longer than expected. And what is the first problem? Mr. Walker came to the emergency department last week because he was weak and had trouble with breathing. And the physician in the ED conducted a examination that yield sign of an acute worsening of his COPD, which is known as COPD exacerbation. Unfortunately, Mr. Walker COPD exacerbation accompanied with epilepsy. The resident must have some adjustment for his situation. Physician in the ED ran an X-ray on Mr. Walker's chest, but it didn't show any sign of pneumonia. The physician admitted when Mr. Walker to hospital for treatment of acute COPD exacerbation. related from the related minor invention. And the care team then checked the Mr. Walker medication order, and were very surprised to see the administration doctor had not command medical for a DVT. The reason was surprised because patients admitted to the hospital typically receive this treatment to provide blood clots from while they lie in their hospital beds. And for nothing about Mr. Walker's medical record suggestion, he shouldn't have received this treatment as an important precautionary measure. We will discuss the following days with the daily care team of doctor and nurse. Reveal that the nurse didn't notify the physician or pharmacy that the essential medical was not administration. The medical system didn't include the administration either. And the resident should check Mr. Walker's condition usually and ask for a report. However, both of the resident and the nurse, they didn't do that instantly. Fortunately, the overnight physician restarted Mr. Walker on his medication, and he suffered no apparent harm. Mr. Walker was discharged after 11 days in the hospital. And what is the proposed solution for this case? To address this issue, the hospital should not assign blame to the individual who were directly involved. This will stand for problem with system of care, and a possible solution to the issue should emphasize the critical roles communication plays in provide care and avoid the type of communication that affect Mr. Walker. And one example of a possible solution might involve working with a team of nurse and doctor to improve communication, possibly to include time each day where nurse and the doctor talk directly about their mental patient. And the hospital could also build a team from the professional involved. For example, a pharmacy nurse, physicians, hospital administration, and the quality improvement department to review the specific of the case. Last one, it is important to discuss. The error was never disclosed to the patient. By acknowledge the error and offer a plan to prevent such an error in the future. Also, the best way is invite Mr. Walker to participate in the improvement plan. Let's affect him and the plans to prevent future errors, and will not be occur again and again. And let's move to the second case. The second case is healthy provides attitude and the price transparency. The background is Mr. Fu got a favor, and Mr. Fu complained nurse attitude and asked for the doctor's fee again and again. On December 6, the patient's family, Mr. Fu, came to the Medical Technology Corporation office to complain. He was emotional and said a nurse, Mr. Queen, is very rude. She talked to me. I must pay the fee. I just want to find someone to ask the situation about my child because Mr. Fu's child is got a fever. However, the nurse even showed her poor attitude that she didn't want to explain more detail. Also, after the nurse's bad attitude, she reminded me pay the doctor's fee again and again. It's very offensive and look like she was afraid of me have no money to pay the fee. Based on Mr. Fu saying he had already paid the fee for the doctor, but the nurse asked her for the fee again and again when Mr. Fu come to the hospital. However, another side for the hospital explanation, the nurse said her testimony. I may have some bad attitude when Mr. Fu came, but I didn't do it on purpose. The reason for my attitude because I was kind of busy and because a lot of patient to deal with, and also the doctor gave an order to do something, so she cannot do everything at the same time. So she maybe some impatient for Mr. Fu when he come to the hospital. Also, as for the doctor's fee, I recall Mr. Fu tried a medical record from computer, but it didn't pay fee. As a result, I just reminded Mr. Fu twice because he looked like worried about his child get a fever or condition. So just a kind of remind. And then let's move to the first problem. Mr. Fu took the child to get a friend after December 6. But first, Mr. Fu cannot pay the money because he have to use another card, but it's not accept. It's like when he changed to another card, but it didn't show on the healthcare system on the hospital computer. So just pay again. And the nurse just had a poor attitude when he deal with Mr. Fu. And what is the proposed solution? By understanding the whole process of things, we think the main reason is that there is unreasonable problem in hospital service process. After the doctors gave the therapy, the nurse should have a prescription price, just like a transparency price. Then ask the patient or patient's family to pay the fee. Paying the extra cost made patient's family impatient. Many times over errors in paying also makes the patient's family get angry. And second, so for this one, the hospital should set up only one or two system to accept the money, like cash or credit card or debit card. And second, there is not enough patience and experience in the hospital service. So let patients, family in easy to misunderstand because the nurse or the hospital side didn't want to talk about the detail. So sometimes there were lack of communication. The hospital or staff must base on the regulation and the procedure, communicate carefully and explain detail to people patiently. Is what I say. Just patient and carefully to explain is much better for the communication. Third, the hospital staff are not sensitive to patients' complaint. Sometimes they anger patients and makes it worse. If patient anger just say don't come down, we are not do purpose and we have another way to do, and they should find the solution and communication with patient. What can they do or what should they do? It will much better for conflict. And four, the hospital need to hire more nurse because just like the nurse testimony, it's not enough employer to deal with a lot of things at the time. So the best way is hire more employer and optimize service flow, avoid the same issue appear again. This is the second case proposed solution. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Shanlong Jiang. Thank you.